After covering Rogue One and A New Hope, we're talking about The Empire Strikes Back tonight. The 1980 second Star Wars film, now considered by many to be one of the greatest films ever made, and one of the rare sequels that's better than the original.
What is thy bidding, my master?
There is a great disturbance in the Force.
I have felt it.
We have a new enemy. The young rebel who destroyed the Death Star. I have no doubt this boy is the offspring of Anakin Skywalker.
Like A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back stars Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker, Harrison Ford as Han Solo, Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia, Anthony Daniels, Kenny Baker, Peter Mayhew, David Prowse, and James Earl Jones as Darth Vader, and adds Frank Oz as Yoda and Billy Dee Williams as Lando Calrissian.
I cannot teach him. The boy has no patience.
The Empire Strikes Back adds new locations to our understanding of the galaxy far, far away, including the ice planet Hoth, Dagobah, and Cloud City, a mining colony on the planet Bespin. The Empire Strikes Back is not directed by George Lucas. Although George Lucas did come up with the story, he then hired Lee Brackett for $50,000, the famed science fiction writer and screenwriter called the Queen of the Space Opera, who worked with Howard Hawks and John Wayne on movies like Rio Bravo, Rio Lobo, and El Dorado, and who adapted The Long Goodbye for the screen for Robert Altman in 1973. In 1977, she had terminal cancer and would be deceased long before Empire actually came out. When she passed, George Lucas worked on a draft of her screenplay where he stripped out most of her dialogue but kept some of her ideas. He then passed it over to Lawrence Kasdan, who was working on the screenplay for Raiders of the Lost Ark, would go on to write and direct Body Heat and Wyatt Earp. For a director, George Lucas chose Irvin Kershner, one of his former professors at USC. In 1977, Alan Ladd Jr. agreed to a once-in-a-lifetime merchandising deal that gave George Lucas most of the rights because he expected it to flop as everyone else did. But Fox had the first refusal rights for any Star Wars sequel. George Lucas' second contract with Alan Ladd Jr. gave him full creative control. Fox would only distribute in exchange for 50% of the gross for the producers on the first $20 million, or 77.5% if it rose above $100 million. They avoided calling it Star Wars 2 because the 2 for sequels was seen as inferior. Ironically, 1980 was the year Superman 2 would come out and be hailed as another one of the great sequels that surpasses, at least in some people's opinions, the original.
Impressive. Most impressive. Obi-Wan has taught you well. You have controlled your fear. Now, release your anger.
The Empire Strikes Back production was plagued with injuries and calamity. Mark Hamill had been in a terrible car accident right before A New Hope came out, and it disfigured his face. So, the ice monster scene on Hoth was added to the screenplay to explain those injuries. Beginning the filming with the Hoth scenes on the 6th largest glacier in Norway. The largest snowstorm in half a century delayed the film's production, and between the filming of A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, a fire broke out at Elstree Studios, destroying Stage 3, causing more delays in production. Vader and the stormtroopers slipped on fake ice. Carrie Fisher passed out on set from an allergic reaction, and her use of painkillers and hallucinogens. A terrible flu outbreak that dropped her down to 85 pounds, and overwork made her experience on set hellish. Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford both fell on set. Mark Hamill had taken up fencing and karate to get ready to film, and then became isolated and depressed from how much time he had to spend with the Yoda puppet rather than the other human actors. He also injured his hands doing a stunt that involved jumping off the speeder bike.
He just did it was a little love nip.
I was the only human being on the call sheet for months. It would say, actor Mark Hamill, part Luke. Props, snakes, lizards, robots, smoke machines, Gila monsters.
If you choose the quick and easy path, as Vader did, you will become an agent of evil, and the galaxy will be plunged deeper into the abyss of hate and despair.
Are you standing right in front of the light?
Yeah. Didn't invite me.
Conflict broke out between Urban Kirshner and Mark Hamill, and Kirshner and the producer, Gary Kurtz, who was eventually recalled and replaced by Fox. The film's budget ballooned from $8 million to $30 million. When the cut was finally completed, a whole bunch of reshoots were necessary. 22% of the film reels were found to be defective because of the magnetic soundtrack. In a final gesture for sticking with the shoot, George Lucas used the profits of The Empire Strikes Back to give his crew $5 million in bonuses.
When I first saw the dialogue that said, Luke, I am your father, I said to myself, he's lying. I wonder how they're going to play that lie out.
Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.